Sell More Faster by Amos Schwartzfarb. So the subtitle here is The Ultimate Sales Playbook for Startups. And don't be misled by the big title, Sell More Faster. This is really a book about sales at startups. And sales at startups are drastically or substantially different than sales in mature organizations. So this book is great for startup founders, especially technical founders at any stage, whether you're already selling or whether you're still working on a product or whether you just decided to commit yourself to the startup journey, because what happens is that you will have to sell, and as a founder you'll be the first person selling, so you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. And this book is also great, a must-have for sales reps who are thinking or VPs of sales who are thinking of transitioning from a corporate environment and they getting their first jobs at startups. In my own experience, I worked at big companies, at multinational companies in sales, and last 3 years I've been working as a consultant with biotech startups, helping them to set up initial sales. And there were many things that translated, and I could just implement what I learned at big companies, at startups. But there were several things that absolutely didn't make sense, they didn't work, and only after reading this book I had this massive aha moments, right? So this is how things are at startups, and this is why what I was observing was not a failure of my client or myself, but it was actually the natural flow of things that happen at startups. So let's look inside. First of all, what I love about this book is a perfect combination of logic, structure, I would say, and case studies or stories, for example. So here, chapter 1, it starts with this wheel, this kind of framework, I would say, and this framework follows up really well with chapter titles. So we have first chapter, W3 model, who, what, and why, then identify, prove, repeat, scale, retain. So these are all steps, and we can follow these steps in individual chapters. So this is the beauty of this book. I love structure. But also the beauty of this book that if we look at this forward, there are lots of case studies here, maybe in acknowledgements. Sorry, guys. Oh, yeah, in the introduction. Apologies for that. So if we go to introduction, we can see all the companies where Amos worked for, and all these companies, they hot jobs, another one here, I think, WorkCom and Business.com and so on. So all these companies where Amos worked for, and he brings experience from those companies, but he also incorporates the stories, the case studies in this book. And that's why it's so nice to read a bit of theory and then hear a story about how that theory played out throughout the book. But let's just start with this first phrase in the introduction, as there are 2 activities in business and only 2. You're making stuff or you are selling stuff. And this should be a wake-up call for all founders, especially technical founders who want to work on their products, but they don't want to sell. They want to postpone the selling activity. If you're getting into business, you'll be selling. So, period, that's end of story. Chapter 1, who, what, and why. Once we finish working on our product, once we have an MVP or even before, we need to realize how we're going to sell it. And the first questions we need to ask ourselves is, who are we going to sell this to? Company type, the person type, and so on. And another part we need to realize is, what is the customer buying? Because we have a product or service that has its features, but the customer is buying something else. They're either saving time, they're making money, they're trying to make money, they're trying to retain their stuff. There's lots of things that customers are buying, but they're not buying your products and features. They're buying a result. And again, another question is why they're buying it. What's their motivation? And so understanding your customers, and this chapter is about the theory. This is where we sit down at the drawing board and look at how we're going to sell our product and just do a bit of theorizing. But then finally, once we're done with this theory, we move to the next step, is when we start looking for our customers. Because what happens with startup founders, They have this vision, they can even do a lot of drawing, and they have a lot of kind of theory, but in reality, the vision of founders, and I think this book brings up this point really well as well, this is something I heard in this book, is that, look, the founders have their vision, but eventually that vision needs to be tested against the market. And so once we start selling, once we start reaching out to customers, we start testing our assumptions. And only once we start selling and once we start booking meetings and getting customer feedback, and once we get people buying our product, only then we understand what our customers really want. A really nice concept here is sales in this chapter is sales versus customer development. So what happens is when we have a mature product, all we have to do there is generate leads, do discovery, demo, engage stakeholders, close the sale. But in startups with new product, what we do customer development. We're not exactly chasing the money, but we're chasing the understanding of what customers like and don't like about our product. So this is a crucial distinction at startups, that we're doing, as a salesperson, we are doing customer development. And this is crucial when you are as a founder who just launched a product, you're like, hey, I'm gonna make money. No. You have to work on customer development. You have to improve your product. You have to test what features customers like and what don't like, and what segments of your customers really want your product. So you're not selling, you developing your customers, you're doing customer development, you're improving your MVP. And this is also crucial for salespeople who are joining startups, is that it's not so much important at a startup to close someone as to get the right person on board and learn about customers. So sales versus customer development, that's what this chapter is about. Chapter 3 is a sales process, and really nice kind of subtitle here, Road to Repeatability. So what sales process is, if you've been in sales for a while, you know, but if you're new to sales, or if you're a technical founder who never sold before, sales process is just as any other process. It's a recipe. When you think of baking a cake, you need to combine ingredients in the right order and put them in the oven, for example, your cake at the right time, and bake it for the right time in order to get the right cake. So the same thing with sales. There is no magic in sales. There is a series of steps, but these steps need to be established. I think here in this chapter, there is this sales funnel that we can see. One sec. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here you go. So this is a sales funnel. So you've probably seen this before, but we get leads that we get through maybe marketing team, maybe marketing effort, cold outreach, through conferences, network. Then we do demo, proposal, negotiation, close. So this is a linear sales process in this case. Sometimes it loops on itself, and we losing and disqualifying people as we go through this process. But this is a sales process, and having a sales process is crucial for repeatability. Once you have a repeated sales process, you already know that you are in business, that your product is a little bit more mature, you can predict your growth, and most importantly, you can hire people and train people once you have a sales process. Before that, it's founder who's just like going there out in the wild and trying to find customers. But sales process takes this out of just kind of ad hoc and random and puts it into a systematic way. So that's sales process. And getting to repeatability is also part of that. So finally, scaling your team. So this is about hiring salespeople. Here Amos puts the distinction between between salespeople who are a good fit for working at startups, and salespeople who are probably not the best fit for working at startups. At a startup, salespeople have to do much more than just like close sales. They have to do customer development, they have to improve the product, and they don't have as much resources in terms of marketing budget, so they have to go on prospect. So, and oftentimes at startups, the amount of money they're getting as a base salary is smaller, so it's more commission heavy. So there's like all these details about picking up the right people for the sales team. Finally, this chapter 6 is about retention, so retain. And here is the idea that Amos is throwing at us and that we need to kind of stick with it, is that It's not so much important to keep selling, but it's important to retain customers, because you build your business by doing repeat business with existing customers. Yes, you want to add new people, but if we just focus on adding new people and don't retain existing customers, then we'll have a high turnover, lots of unhappy people that tell their friends that they didn't like working with us. So this chapter is about retention, and obviously as empathetic people who want to make a difference, it's something to remember, is to keep customers happy so they stay with us longer. This way our business keeps growing.